This is episode 25.
Hey,
Absolutely crazy that we're on 25 episodes.
Love it. Gets better every time.
We have a very special guest tonight. We have SoCal legend straight out of California, Joe himself. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Excellent.
What an introduction.
Well, welcome to the show. You're our first live guest. So this is kind of a first for us, and we're still getting used to the setup, and it's a little less than ideal, but we're going to get there, and it's going to be kind of a learning process along the way. So
absolutely.
Hopefully all the audio is coming through for all of our viewers and everything like that. Worst case scenario, we are recording it so that way we have the backup. So just to kind of get started, what do you want us to call you? Do you want us to call you like Mr. Legend, SoCal, Joe?
Joe is fine. Actually, it's some group rides and things. People call me SoCal, but yeah, Joe is totally cool, dude.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you on the show, Joe. And as a fellow Joe, I can relate to just having people keep it simple and just call you Joe.
Do you guys synchronize? Is there like an unspoken Joe to Joe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a telepathic connection.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Sweet.
So we'll kind of get started with eSkate stuff, and then we'll probably dive into more about you and who you are and kind of your origins. But how did you get into eSkate, and what was that progression? Was it kind of a natural progression, or did you start like riding regular skateboards and transition into longboards and then eSkate, or how did that go for you?
I don't know. I was probably 11 or 12 years old and learned how to skate by watching Tony Hawk and the guys, back in the early 90s. Moved to a small town in Missouri, couldn't skate there. Moved to California 11 years ago, and then I picked up a longboard. I just wanted to cruise. I'm 40 years old right now, so I just didn't want, to break any bones. And then going and skating, your knees always pop. And so me and a couple buddies, we were like, dude, let's get a electric skateboard. And we were looking around. We saw like a snowboard that had a 49cc Honda motor on the back of it. And I was like, oh, dude, that would be awesome. And then he ended up buying an Evolve. And after that, the rest is history. Became an ambassador, started working for him, whole thing, So
awesome. That's crazy. Yeah, I can't imagine like seeing the original like motorized boards, like the ones with the gas motors and things like that on the back of them, because that's not something that we grew up around in Michigan. Like nobody really rode, like you could ride a skateboard, but nobody was cruising on anything motorized by any means. It's not like there's mountains or like a big scene of riders out here. So
it's pretty small.
Yeah,
it's very casual. I'd say honestly, I see a lot in Grand Rapids. I feel like it's so many more PEVs now than just like plain Jane skateboarders. It's a weird phenomenon.
Yeah, we've definitely had a huge influx of scooter riders and not just like the rideshare ones. Like people are actually like buying the scooters now, being like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna ride. That's gonna be my main transportation.
Actually, we just did a group ride this past Saturday, and normally we have a mixture of one wheels, electric unicycles, some scooters, bikes, and then boards. Dude, we had 42 people that showed up, and we had 4 electric bikes, 3 one wheels, and all electric skateboards. Brandon from Chicago, ambassador for Evolve, he was just out here over the weekend, and he's like, this is crazy. He's like, normally we don't even have this many skateboards in our groups. I was in a demo and a group ride in San Francisco a month ago, and there were a handful of skateboards, and it was an Evolve event, and everyone had scooters and bikes and the electric unicycles, and it's like it's going to go faster, and further.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like what kind of drives those rides, because like you were saying, it was like an Evolve official event, but it was mostly other PEV, and then you have just a regular group ride, and it's like all eSkate. So I wonder what like drives those trends and what makes people want to like ride one or the other.
City. It's almost I feel like different cities have different trends, and I think part of it is if you have maybe a local company invested in that, like a local like Super 73 or something, or maybe the climate of the commute, if you will, requires a certain type of vehicle or something. It's an interesting phenomenon.
Totally.
Right. Yeah. So you're not just Eastgate. Like you do a lot of content creation in general. You do some unboxings. You do a lot of Eastgate, but you also do some other stuff. How did you kind of get into content creation, and what kind of drove you to that career
Um,
path?
dude, I think it was just, just the eye. I mean, I've always had an eye for detail and certain things that I like. It might not be what someone else likes, but whatever I like, I'll just go out and do that. I got lucky being in Southern California because I could skate about 360 days
Yeah,
a year. When people about 4 or 5 months out of the year live in Canada or in Germany or in the Northeast, and they're covered in snow and they can't do anything, and then I get messages, dude, I'm so
yeah,
jealous. I'm so jealous. And it's like, I just got lucky with it. And so, I live next to a beautiful beach. I'm a half a mile from the beach. And so going and doing that, I think it's just easier to get that content, or just something to catch that eye. So I've just always had that, detailed eye just to try to capture something different. But yeah, I do stuff for Shred Lights, Evolve, Rule Rock. I just became an affiliate with Insta360. Uh, so yeah,
oh, nice.
I
Congratulations.
just dabbling in all of it, just having fun and living my life.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's something that's really cool about kind of your style. Is it's very much just a part of your lifestyle. It's not like you changed
Yep.
who you were, for at least from what I can tell. It doesn't look like you've changed who you were. It was very much just, this is kind of what I do, and this is what I enjoy, and I want you to see through
Mhm.
my eyes. And it's not like a super edited version. It's very much like, this is just like
Yeah.
how I live my life. Like this is me, SoCal legend.
Yeah,
So
raw natural.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was talking to a guy today because we got a new hire at Evolve, and he was like, he does a lot of different music for TV shows and like different background things. And I was like, dude, I need to get some of your music. So I was listening to it, and I was like, dude, I do all of my videos on the Insta360 app, or I do iVideo or iMovies on my phone. Editing to me is like
yeah,
a different language. I
yeah,
can't grasp it. And so I just do everything's raw. I don't think I've ever really had anything was like, top notch unless Eric from Shred Lights did it, or, one of my other people did it.
right.
I only have like 3 videos that are out there like top quality because it's just my life, my raw everyday life.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and that's yeah. You make a good point. Like Eric is one of those people that his brain is just
totally.
wired where he can look at different images, videos, music, everything, and go, "Yep, this all
Yep.
connects this way." And when I look at it, I'm like, there's so many lines. I don't know what any of that audio is doing.
Yeah.
Like, where do I cut the video to make it look seamless? Like,
Oh yeah.
it just is, it's a mess.
Yeah, he's fully immersed in that detail.
Yeah, yeah. He almost is like, his face is just like plastered with it. Like there's no way around it. And it shows, like when you talk to him, like he's always thinking like 30 steps ahead. That's very much the way that Eric kind of lives his life,
Right.
and it shows like in
Totally.
his videos.
Yep. And his every day. I mean, I've known
Um
the guy for like 6 years now, so he's awesome,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah. And it's cool too, because one thing that we don't necessarily get to experience since we're in Michigan, there's not a ton of Eastgate companies that come
Yeah.
through this area. So I always think that's really cool that like you guys can have these like Shred Light events where Eric shows up, and it's like, yeah, just get to ride with
Yeah,
Eric from Shred Lights.
he's just down the street.
Or for riders that show up and they're like, oh, I get to ride with
Yeah.
SoCal Legend. Like it's just one of those things where you don't realize like how much a part of the community you are
Mm-hmm.
until people are like, "Hey, you're this guy." I'm
Exactly.
like, yeah, hey, what's up, man?
I mean, I encountered that in New York City in 2019. Actually, it's the first time I met SoCal Legend was at NYEF
Yep.
2019, and I remember you were pretty pissed about the whole like demo thing. Remember that they shut down the demo street allegedly? Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a hot mess. Anyways, but yeah, no, I just remember being like, oh, is that SoCal Legend? Like, it just walked by me, and then like Ernesto walked by me. I had a heart
Yeah.
attack. I was like, but that was my first time ever being
Yeah.
like surrounded just by all these different content creators.
Yeah, it's almost like a culture shock.
It really was. Yeah.
Have you had any of those moments where Joe, where you kind of ran into somebody, you're like, oh, that's that guy?
We did in 2019 when we first launched the GTR. my boss at the time, he was like, "Hey, we need a couple people. We're going to do this, massive, video. We're going to travel, all over California and do, the desert. We're going to do San Francisco and the beach and stuff like that." And I was like, "Awesome." So we get out to
Yeah.
the desert, and I don't know if you guys know the guy's name is Austin Keene. He does
Sounds really
snowboarding. He's
familiar.
got dreadlocks. I've seen a lot of his stuff, and I've seen commercials on TV, and I've seen different things, billboards of him,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, that guy just seems really cool. And then you meet him in person, and it's even better than that because he's just like the coolest guy ever. I've got his cell phone number. I to Dana Point,
Yeah.
and I'm up there for the day. I just texted him. I was like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing?" He's like, "Nothing." I was like, "I'm in your area." He's like, "Cool, come on over. I'll show you around." And I was like, "What?" So that was mine. Just being able to see someone on Instagram that I follow, and then meeting them in person, and then going skating with them,
Yeah.
in a desolate area in the middle of the desert, and then turning around and going to his town that he lives in, and him showing me around. So that was my moment for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool too is people don't realize that even though you may be like an influencer or someone that has a lot of followers or whatever, you're still just a regular dude. Like sometimes you just want to hang out with people and like, hey, like let's go skate and grab a drink, or let's go skate and grab some
Exactly.
Yeah.
food. Like at the end of the day, like we're all just riders, and no one's out here like chasing clout, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that are, just chasing the Eastgate clout, but like most of the people that are up at that level where they actually have people that are interested in what they're doing and riding, it's very much like an organic, like, yeah, well, I think people just like riding with me because I'm not chasing clout. I'm just a regular guy just
Sure.
trying to ride, and I share my opinions, and people relate to that. So,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
great, and it makes it more enjoyable, I guess.
Yeah, it's my passion. I mean, it's my every day to day. I wake up, I work on skateboards. I come home, I do a skate. I hang out with my girlfriend and we go skate, or we'll do a group ride, or we do a travel trip where we take our boards and go skate. So it's just it's my lifestyle. So I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
ingrained completely.
I'm jealous.
Well,
I'm
Yeah.
jealous just hearing him
technically,
talk
it
about
Yeah.
it.
is ingrained completely.
Oh my God. It is.
He's got
Yeah.
the mark. That's gonna be
Yeah.
controversial. I'm just letting
I
you
mean,
know.
it is and it isn't. Like he represents Evolve USA. It's like it's
Well,
part of it.
it goes a little bit
Damn.
further. I was in an accident, and the community basically come together, and they did some remarkable things, and it became a family. So it was like total strangers can come together and be there for one person, and then create this massive vibe in
Yeah.
a family where we can share the evolved life with everyone. It doesn't matter if you're on a electric unicycle, or you're on a boosted, or you're on a metro board. It's the lifestyle and it's the
Yep.
vibe, dude. That's it. So regardless if it's an E from Evolve Skateboards, it's the community and what it represents. It's a family.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. It's very
Yeah.
noble.
And
I like
that's
it.
it's cool too, because it has like a double meaning. Cause like that's the ink goes deeper than like
Totally.
the surface. It on the surface it's Evolve, right? But it goes deeper than that. It's about the community
Yep.
of Eastgate
So
and the vibe. Yeah.
so the real question is then to Joe,
Yeah.
are you gonna get an Eastgate tattoo someday of Boosted?
I don't know if a boosted, considering their current situation. But I think if I could find a cool tattoo that would represent Eastgate, I would absolutely do it.
Interesting. All right.
I would absolutely do it.
Interesting. Could be a
Yeah.
new project.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I have other tattoos, so it's like, yeah, why not?
I'm tattoo-less, so I'm always open to suggestions.
You got to get a whole sleeve, man. Just go
Oh
all
yeah,
out.
for sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like this.
A full Eastgate sleeve. You can get all the different brands
I'll
that
put
you've ever
SoCal's
owned.
legend right here. I just put all the
Yeah.
famous people. Ernesto.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Got to get the SoCal skull like right up on the shoulder.
Yep, you know it.
Yep.
Yep. I'll get Sly Dog Stro somewhere over here. Like,
Oh my gosh.
that'd be great.
I love it. I love it. So kind of on that note, talking about people in the community and people that are influencing other riders, did you ever think that you would be at that level where you kind of influence others, and kind of created that following where people like CG make memes and things like that out of you? And
Never.
Did you ever think you would get
Never.
to that point?
I mean, when I first moved to California as a kid, went to a private school and saw this guy playing the drums, and I was like, dude, I want to do that. I want to be a professional drummer. Well, I've been in a
Yeah.
number of bands, living out of vans and traveling from state to state, not making any money, and realized that it's a lot harder than that. So that was my like dream of what I
Big
wanted to
facts.
do. But dude, I mean, not really. I never thought that I would be in this position. I just got lucky. That was it.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting too. I guess it's I don't know if it's part of that like that music scene, but I felt like I was a big part of like bands and stuff like that. And I don't know if it comes like hand in hand where like skating and like hardcore music and like punk music and stuff kind of goes hand in hand with it. But I
Yeah.
always feel like a lot of the people that I meet that skate are like, yeah, like I used to be in bands and I used to do that. And I don't know if it's
Yeah.
that vibe, that lifestyle of like community and family, because when I was in the scene, it was very much like when you're part of the like music scene, you're a family. Like the
Right.
bands
Yeah.
you get to know that come through your
Exactly.
town, like they're your family. They stay on your couch. They go to Waffle House with you. They go
Yep.
to Denny's or whatever after the show, and
Yep.
it's very much like the same family atmosphere. So I wonder
Yep.
if that's like it goes hand in hand because of that.
I totally agree.
I wonder if it's just kind of like a yeah. I think you guys are right. When you have that we're the how do you put this with like punk music and hardcore music, there's a
Yeah,
common theme of like, oh, we're rejecting society or society's rejecting us, or
yeah,
like we're the renegades, we're the
we're kind of
outcasts,
doing things different.
we're doing
Yeah.
things differently. And then of course like that is like poof, right there with skate culture,
Oh
obviously.
yeah.
So and then it's kind of like, hey, like we have problems with society or we want to be different than society, we got to stick together to see it
Yeah.
through.
Well, and especially e-skate. I mean, with the way that it's kind of pushing the envelope, trying to get
Mm-hmm.
people to change their mentality
Oh,
of
absolutely.
avoiding gas vehicles and kind of getting more on the electric side.
Absolutely.
I guess I could see that where it's all kind of a cycle and just keeps
Mm-hmm.
going and going and going.
Yeah, we're just the early adopters. That's how I
Yeah.
consider it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have the Evolve tattoo. We talked quickly about how you're kind of involved in Evolve USA. How did that relationship start? How did you uh kind of come up with that business strategy and start really pushing Evolve?
So like I said, my buddy, he found Evolve, and so I was living in Vista. He was my neighbor, and the shop for Evolve USA was 10 minutes away. And so he ordered the board online. The owner called him up and said, hey, you can come by and pick up the board if you want. And so he went and picked it up.
Yeah.
And I think maybe like a week later, he needed some, he wanted to get some extra parts and pieces because, Evolve, they have everything under the sun to customize your board. And so I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
he's like, do you want to go with? And I was like, sure. And so I went to the shop and I was like, dude, I want to get a board. And I saw this board that was sitting there. It might have had some miles on it. They probably had it for a demo board or it was just a used
Yeah.
board. And I was like, well, how much? And, he shot me a price and I was like, I'll take it. Well, right before I said I'll take it, my buddy's pulling out the cash to hand him. And I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like, I wanted that board. And he's like, I bought it so you
Yeah.
can ride with me. And then you can get your own board. And I was like, hey, cool to get a newer
Yeah.
one or a carbon or a bamboo or whatever. So I was like, cool, dude. So that's
Right.
basically how that went. And then that was in 2015, the end of the year. I got into an accident. But right after that, they were going to hire me to start working at the shop just because I wouldn't go away. I would go to the shop every day. I
Yeah.
was a Harley mechanic before, and I built houses before, so I've always just tinkered with stuff. And so with the electric skateboard, I've
Yeah.
always treated it like a motorcycle, to where when you're riding the streets with street wheels, I know things are gonna come loose. So I'm always just building something or tinkering with something. And so,
Oh
I would
yeah.
just go to the shop and just help them out. And then he's like, well, dude, we can't just have you working here. We have to pay you. And so gave me a job.
Yeah.
So
That's
they
ideal.
couldn't get rid of me.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think it's kind of a testament too. Like I love tinkering with boards. Like that's like the same. I have the same passion with it. I know Terminal X also likes to tinker with them, but his knowledge is much more limited.
That's an understatement.
But yeah, I'm sure he gets that feeling like when someone's just around, they're always like, oh yeah, let me just tinker with that a little bit. Let me touch that. And I I mean, it's a natural progression to have you kind of work with them instead of just have you keep doing free labor.
Yeah, that's ideal. I'm glad they're paying you, SoCal. I was kind of worried for a second,
Yeah.
but I'm glad they're. It puts my heart at ease.
Yeah. Well, and that customization has come a long way. Obviously, you have a very custom GTR that you ride.
Crispy board. I'm gonna
Do you
go
want to
look
talk
at it
about
right
that a
now.
little bit? Because yours is probably one of the most unique GTRs I've ever seen.
Whenever Evolve made me an ambassador, they actually gave me a GT Carbon that was hydro dipped and it had skulls all over it. But I was like, dude, I want to
Oh,
be
yeah.
able to, you know, take that to a different level and be able to just customize every piece. So
Yeah.
the GTR came out, and I got the bamboo because it had all the bells and whistles. You can put the LED street light, the lights on there, so it had everything. So it was good to promote that. And then a year later,
Yeah.
I ended up getting the carbon, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to strip this down. I'm not even going to skate with it. I'm just going to strip it down. And I found a guy in LA to do the powder coating, not powder coating, but the hydro dipping. He did the deck.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine laser cut the grip tape, and then I got the trucks all powder coated, and then just been riding the 6-inch conversion kit with the 47 tooth gears. So I like a little bit of that higher speed of what Evolve offers for a comfortable ride,
Oh,
on
yeah.
AT wheels. So, but dude, it's a comfortable board. And Brandon, he was like, dude, it looks better in person than it does in pictures. So yeah, pictures never do
Yeah.
anything justice.
No, absolutely not. And Brandon himself, I mean, he customizes his boards pretty extensively too.
Oh, yeah.
So when he says that, like, yeah, like it looks better in person, I definitely take his word for it
Yeah.
because he has a very picky taste, especially when it comes to custom e-skates, because he
Yeah.
spends a lot of time on his board too.
Yeah, he's a tinker. He has a big design mentality as well.
Yeah.
For sure, without a doubt.
Yeah. So kind of touching on, moments like having Brandon come and visit you and things like that. What are some of those like super memorable moments of e-skate or PEV? You also said you did a lot of traveling where you e-skate. What are some of those like amazing destinations that you've been to where you're like, this is like, I'll never skate anywhere cooler than this?
So after my first accident in 2015, the following year was the first Evolve World Cup in a small little village in the south of France called Caudebron. Never heard of it. I've only heard of Paris. And so I was like, dude, I'm going. I want to do this. This would be cool. I talked to these guys on Facebook and Instagram and everything else. So I just want to be able to go. And Evolve came together, and the community came together, and I did like a GoFundMe account, and Evolve matched it, got me to Paris to represent Evolve.
Oh my God.
Then I went down to the first World Cup. I only know English. I've never been out of any other country besides in the United States. So it was kind of difficult to be able, just to go there because I was nervous. And I get there and everyone speaks English. As long as you speak very slow so they can understand what you say. So I was like, cool. But we go down to this village, and it was just like I think maybe 250 to 300 people lived there. We took over the village. There was like 40 riders from all over the world.
Wow.
And I think that right there was that moment where I was just like, dude, this is awesome. And then the following year, we had another World Cup, and that was actually held in Paris. And I got to skate around Paris and like the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre. And, just skating the streets of Paris was crazy. But those guys in Paris are nuts because they skate street wheels on the cobblestone roads. And I don't understand it. I was like struggling with AT tires. So, dude, it was,
Oh my
it was
God.
crazy.
Next level.
Yeah,
The guys from Paris.
Those are some OGs. Shout out to the guys in Paris.
Yeah.
A mild sidetracking question: how did you get the boards to Europe?
Well, okay, so I just took my battery out of my board. I bought a cheap little $40 golf bag and threw the board in there with some extra, tires and stuff like that. And then whenever I got to Europe, France, the Evolve distributor there, he let me use a battery while I was there. And so I had a battery the entire time that I was there that first time. Then the second time when we went out, we did the same exact thing, but we rented batteries because I was out there I think for 10 days, and so we just rented
Oh
the
yeah.
battery from the UK, and then we just had that the entire time. So like even going
Huh.
to New York or any place that I have to fly on an airplane, I try to just ship my
Yeah.
board. If it's like with an Evolve event, I just ship it with the pallet. If not, then
Yeah.
I'll try to ship my battery ahead and then just take my board with me. I did take my bamboo with me on a trip, and I just took the travel battery with me, and then got there.
Oh
So I had the
yeah.
travel battery as soon as I got there, so I can just do whatever. And then once I got to like Philippaki in New York, when I got to the shop the next day, I had a battery that I can use for
Yeah.
the entire group ride. So
Yeah.
Nice.
That's
Okay.
smart. That's smart to ship the battery ahead of time.
Yeah, kind of pre-map that stuff out.
Yeah. Well, it always just takes longer because they have to go through different checks and things, and everybody, whenever they see battery or lithium on it, they're like,
yeah,
"Oh, it's got hazard or whatever," and they have to take their time
yeah.
with it.
Yeah, I mean, we get so many. We get think of how many questions like you've seen. Oh, how do I travel? Can I travel with my board? Can I take my battery on the plane? Like, it's so risky. All the airlines have different rules. All the countries have different
Yeah.
rules. All it takes is one grumpy TSA guy, and your whole trip's ruined. So to ship it ahead of time with a
Yeah.
little bit of forethought, and maybe somebody waiting for it in that city.
Yep.
I mean, I know some really gracious Airbnb hosts. I've shipped stuff to my Airbnb ahead of time. Just been like, hey, this is when I'm renting the unit. I'll have a package arriving. You're more than welcome to open it and make sure it's not illegal or anything crazy.
Yeah.
But I need this for while I'm there. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. Like we'll pick up the package when it arrives. We want the tracking number, obviously, and
Right.
it worked out great. So yeah, shipping ahead of time is really quite viable.
Yeah. That's
Or
smart.
someone could come out with their own
Um.
business and turn around and just ship batteries all over the United States for people. So if you're coming to Las Vegas, they can have a battery waiting for you when you get to the hotel.
I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. That's a good point too. I mean, just alone, like working with somebody like Shy Battery,
I was
like
going to
you
bring
could
them
be
up.
like, hey,
Yep.
I need a this size battery. I need it to be at the
Yep.
hotel on this date. And
Interesting.
then you have it. You can always ship it back.
Right.
They whatever package it came in, just save it, and then you can ship it back to your house whenever you need it. Or
Yeah, I could see large cities with really big Eastgate communities kind of
yeah,
coming together and saying, "Hey, here's some rental battery packs, or here's some rental even
yeah,
e-boards. Pay us. The money goes to the community, and you get to use these boards. Maybe I don't know how the insurance would work, but I bet some of these communities definitely have enough boards laying around to where
Yeah,
they could pull it off.
oh yeah.
totally.
How did So on that note, how did Brandon? So Brandon went and visited you. Did he bring his board, or did he borrow
We
somebody's board when he
actually
was out there?
shipped it to Eric at Shred Lights. So he flew into San Diego, got his rental car, and then the airport is literally like less than 10 minutes away from Eric's shop. So
Oh,
he
it's not
pretty much
bad.
got
Yeah,
there, got the board, said what's up to him, came to Evolve, said what's up to me, went to the Airbnb, and then him and his lady, they just hung out the whole weekend and had some fun.
that's awesome. That's the way to do it.
Yep.
Just find a partner that you can ship it to, whether it's
Yep.
Shred Lights or Evolve or whatever company, Shy Battery. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anybody that's in that Eastgate community, they're like, yeah, no, we'll accept it. Just pick it up,
Yep.
swing by and pick it up, and
Yeah.
then you get to like connect with people from the
Mhm.
community too at the same time.
Yeah, it's we used it. We did that successfully with Raw Day, like back in the day for
Uh-huh.
NYEF 2019. We had to ship like multiple boards from China, and we sent them all ahead of time to Philippaki,
Yeah,
because they have like an upstairs warehouse type of situation above their storefront. Great store, by the way. If you're ever in New York City, check that place out. But anyways, yeah, we shipped like I want to say like 6 boards, and they
wow.
just had them all there. So yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, goes a long way.
Yeah, those guys are
Yeah.
awesome dudes.
Yeah. So when you're not writing, what's like your go-to stuff that you like to do? Obviously, writing is a big part of your life, but when you're not writing, are you the kind of guy that's like, hopping from restaurant to restaurant to find the best taco? Are you?
Yeah, so we watch a lot of YouTube videos to find out what the coolest thing is to do. Even though, so
Yeah,
San Diego, it's in like 4 different places. You have like the central part of San Diego, North San Diego. You have the east and the south. So we'll get on
yeah,
YouTube and we'll watch some of these people, their reviews, and then we'll go check out those places. But dude, during the pandemic, there was nothing to do. So It was like as soon as
Yeah.
sports came on, it was like, yeah, sport. So, my the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got Tom Brady. We went to the Super Bowl. We won. I was stoked. I've been a Bucks fan for 21 years. Living in San
Yeah.
Diego, we don't have a football team anymore because they sold out and went to LA. And then
Yup.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I deleted I don't follow them on Facebook after that happened. I got notifications and I was like, nope, I'm done. Your
Yeah.
roots are in San Diego. You were in LA for 1 year, guys. So your roots are in San Diego. You move up there for money? Nah. So I'm glad that San
Yeah.
Diego has the Padres because they have absolutely been on fire this year. They swept
Yup.
the Cardinals. They swept the Rockies.
Yeah. The Rockies
With
game
their
was
5 of their
intense.
starters out because of COVID, they still slaughtered them. So I
Yeah.
Wowzers.
It's looking good
I'm
for them.
going to Vegas next weekend for Memorial Weekend, and I'm putting some money on the
Nice.
Padres to win the World Series, and hopefully that pays out some dividends. But
Hey,
yeah,
when
just
in
some
Rome.
sports. I like baseball, football. I've got really big into like cryptocurrency over the last 6 months, so that
Nice.
kind of consumes a little bit of my days.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely yeah, crypto is one of those things where it's like you're not a day trader, you're not an aftermarket trader, you're an all the time trader because it's crypto and it's
Yeah.
all the time.
And yeah,
Dude,
it's day and night.
24 hours.
Yeah.
It doesn't sleep. But you guys were talking about oh shit, what was it? The different things. What was it? Brain fart. But like just different things you can do or whatever else. But do with the cryptocurrency, it's like a complete crazy up and down. And the meme, you were talking about memes
Yeah.
earlier. That's what it was. You're talking about people creating memes.
Yeah.
The cryptocurrency memes are the funniest.
Truth. The GME memes, man.
Yeah.
We still are a part
Me
of that,
too.
obviously.
Me too.
Because we hold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're waiting.
these are diamond hands.
We're waiting.
Anyways, but yeah, no, those GME memes. I've seen some crypto ones
Yeah.
too with Dogecoin and whatnot. But yeah, no. When you have a currency that was built by people who grew up on the internet and who grew up with memes, like that's going to be cutting edge. Like these are not some boomers out here. I mean, these are the young guns out here, and both in currency and of course
Yep.
the memes that go with
And
it.
they don't know what to do. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been watching so many videos and they don't even know what to do. So, I mean, I don't know if certain videos say that they're sending out fake things about this and that, and then it crashes
Yeah.
and they're buying up everything. Who knows? But,
Yeah. It's so much
Yep.
up in the air. It's a wild ride though, and it's fun. I mean, like for anybody that has some money that they don't mind possibly losing, like I would definitely recommend either get into day trading or get into crypto because what have you
Yep.
got to lose? I mean, whatever money you put in, you're probably gonna make some or maybe lose a little, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like it's worth the experience. I mean, that's how generations and generations of people forever have been making money.
We're gonna be in the history books for this stuff. I hope you guys know that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But
That's the plan.
it was a good day today for your boys, Robin Hood.
Yeah, and I hope I hope that eventually, like it gets to that tipping point where our generation's now in control of the markets, in control for lack of a better words, but just being able to have it where it's a fair game across the board is what I would like to see.
Too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and maybe we should make an ESC token.
Dude.
We could sell electric skate.
That's
coin.
you say that because I was on the Evolve owners group and someone was saying something about a graph of cryptocurrency, and in the corner it had the E, the Evolve E, and it said E coin, and I was like, oh, could you imagine if all the brands got together and had their own PEV coin, and basically you could trade and you could buy all the products throughout all PEV and all the different companies with that token.
That'd be pretty smart. I mean, if you could do it in a way where it was like economical and was green and would like supported what Eastgate's all about. Oh, I would invest.
I mean, yeah,
It's a no-brainer with the number of companies that are out there and the number of companies that are growing, and the fact that it's like decentralized, so you'd be able to trade with some of the China-based companies.
Yeah, exactly.
Be able to trade with like Evolve, who's based out of Australia. Like,
yep. Man, I'll tell you what, those PayPal fees dealing with China, man, they are a royal bitch.
Oh my gosh, yeah, get rid of all
that.
that.
So get rid of all that. Yeah, no.
The e-coin.
Yeah, no, I'm there for it. If it means I don't have to pay those suckers anymore.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. I would invest, no problem. So kind of cutting back to e-skate. You've been doing it for a while. You've had some falls, you've had some slips. You've also made a lot of progress, and you have a somewhat of a decent following. What would you say for those new riders out there? What are some tips that you would give them from the perspective of this is how you survive a crash because you've been in a bad crash before, all the way to like this is how you ride and have a good vibe and ride well with a large group?
Yeah, impart upon the newer riders your wisdom.
So what I would suggest to any person that wants to get into electric anything is do your research. Once you do your research and you buy your product, learn your product.
Yeah.
Learn your product, learn how it operates. Once you have figured that out, who gives a shit? Sorry if I'm cussing.
Oh no, you're good.
It's okay. I think I said bitch earlier.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit if you go slow? It's better to be slow and steady because then you win the race that way, correct?
Exactly.
So you don't have to buy your board and go to the group ride tomorrow. Okay, you don't be so eager to get that product that same exact day so you can go do the same thing that everyone else is doing on YouTube or on social media. So regardless, it's a time thing. I say within your first month, you're going to fall and it's going to hurt because you didn't buy a helmet, you didn't buy pads, you didn't know how to properly fall. So watch the videos on YouTube, learn what you're going to get yourself into because this is not a toy. This is not anything to be messing with because you can either break a leg, you can break a bone, or you can end up dying. So you have to actually learn your product, okay? I've seen too many people over the last 6 years that have gotten severely injured and that have actually died from getting hit by a car by not paying attention because they're not used to being on the street with just standing on a piece of wood and some motors. So learning your product, knowing what you're getting yourself into, once you get it, be one with your board. You have to actually get to it, learn how the belt tension works, learn how to adjust your tires, learn how to lubricate your bearings, learn all these things by the people that are out there doing it on a day-to-day basis. Because when you don't do that, then you get frustrated, you get upset. And if you drop your remote, well, guess what? You're screwed because everyone drops their remote and everyone gets pissed off about it. But the thing about it is if you did your research, you took it slow in the very beginning, you wouldn't do that. Because I've only dropped a remote my first year of riding because I wasn't used to it. But after being with it for 6 years, I never drop a remote. I always use the lanyard. I put it in its case. I put it in the backpack. If it drops, it's protected. So that's what I would recommend to anyone that's getting into it is do your research. And then once you've done your research, then pick your product and then learn that product like it's your best friend.
Yeah.
Have you ever dropped your remote? I've never
dropped it. I think I've always used the lanyard. I think I probably learned from somebody like Joe who did drop their remote the one time, and I was like, yeah, I'm never going to be that guy. Well, so I always wore the lanyard.
Exactly. Yeah, and he raises a good point. I always use a lanyard. I've never dropped my remote. There was a new rider in our group rides one time, and I did catch him like at one of his first rides, like never using the lanyard. Yeah. I'm like, brother, you are going to have a bad time if you drop that. So anyways, I never thought about that like until like he mentioned like dropping his remote. That would suck. Well, but I think what I would love to see someday is like a sit down serious, like almost maybe not documentary per se, but like a serious sit down video of like e-skate content creators that have had really bad accidents, really bad crashes.
Like a round table.
Yeah, like a round table. You look at the camera and be like, listen, man, this is not a joke. This is not a toy.
Yep.
This is a vehicle. And be like, listen, the helmet is a must. The pads are a must. This is non-negotiable.
Yeah.
People make fun of the helmet police or make fun of like people that, don't tell me what to do. And I get it. The skate culture by definition has a little bit of rebellion and, kind of
Yep.
screw the man to it. But like at the end of the day, like we want you to skate for a long time, and we want you to be a good example to the other new riders that come on after you.
Yeah. And that's something we talked about in our last episode too, is with the number of inexpensive boards that you can buy on Amazon and stuff now.
Oh God.
The amount of kids and young adults and people that aren't going to take the time to research is going to increase significantly. So it really does fall on people like us, like Joe, like Brandon, like Lisa, everybody that's out in the scene that are creating these followings to really educate people. Even with like you're saying of like always wear a helmet.
Always wear a helmet. It's not a joke.
It takes that one time when you don't wear it.
Exactly.
And you're like, should have wore a helmet.
Exactly. And Joe raises a good point. Like these are not there. There are some situations where there's no do-over. There's no walk it off. Like something's broken. It might have, even if it heals. Like I have permanent pain every day from accidents that happened. Some of it was actually preventable, and obviously I do okay. And I'm sure Joe has aches and pains that he wishes he could take back. And I would love for guys like Joe who have like a serious following to sit down in front of the camera and be like, listen, like don't make the same mistakes I made. Learn how to fall properly. This is important, and kind of set that trend from the get go, so that we have, we don't have kids out here hurting themselves in a permanent manner.
Yeah, huge shout out to Ruroc, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a shout out to TSG, man.
Everybody. I mean, anybody. All the helmet companies, all the protective equipment companies, they're out there just trying to keep people alive. Exactly. And the number of times I've seen people be like, "Oh, this is a piece of crap." It's
right. Overkill. Yeah. I don't know, man. I've got DMs screenshotted like on my phone that are like, "Hey, man, like I just wanted to reach out to you. Like I bought this helmet because of you and your videos, and like I had a massive crash." And it's not me being dramatic. That's literally what he wrote. He's like, "Hey, man, I bought this helmet because of you, and I had a massive accident, but like I'm here to to talk about it because of this helmet." And I screenshotted it and I sent it to TSG. I was like, "Hey, man, like this isn't just about like a helmet making money. Like there's seriously like lives being saved and stuff."
Have you ever had any of those moments, Joe, where you kind of went up to somebody and were like, "Why are you wearing a helmet?"
Man, I did for a long time. But then when I see someone that shows up and they're not wearing a helmet, it's like, it's his choice. I can't at the end of the day, I can't tell someone what they can and cannot do because I'm not their mom and dad. And regardless, if I was their mom and dad, they still wouldn't listen to me.
Exactly.
It's like, I hope that they do, but I think whenever they see a massive, so whenever it's like, you show up to that party, right? Or you show up to that gathering and you're the only person not wearing a face mask. Everyone's going to stare at you. And then you're going to be like, oh, well, maybe I should put on my face mask so I don't get stared at. So I think it's kind of going around the same thing, because when you go to a group ride or you see someone that they're always wearing a helmet and you see 50 people wearing a helmet and one person's not, then it's like, oh, well, why is everyone wearing helmets? So,
you kind of got to go with that peer pressure mentality, and
positive peer pressure.
Yeah, it's positive. Well, it's protective equipment.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's kind of like if everybody stayed on the bridge and you jumped, like why?
Yeah, exactly. But I think that more passive thing that Joe's talking about, where the whole group's doing it. You have a lot of experienced riders. The cool kids are doing it, and they're doing something good. They're wearing protective gear. We want you to ride for a long time. I think it's that more subtle passive like influence to say, hey, this is important. This is worth it. We highly implore you to wear a helmet. He's obviously Joe's right. Like, we can't force people to do it, especially in skate culture. Good luck.
Yeah.
But to eventually be like, hey, man, I genuinely care about you. Like we hang out together, we ride together. Like you're part of the family, you're part of the community.
Yep.
For that reason, I encourage you to wear a helmet. I think that will go a long way in e-skate culture than, wear a helmet or you're a terrible person, in my opinion.
Yeah. And speaking of, big group rides and stuff like that, if you had a preference, Joe, would you prefer those big group rides, or do you like when it's like you and Lisa, or like you and like two or three other people?
Like a
Like,
squad.
yeah, do you prefer like a small squad, or are you like all about the big rides, like go big, go
So
home?
we were talking about. I'm going to backtrack just a second. You were talking about accidents. I've been hit by two cars. Um, after
Oh
my
man,
last accident, that was the last time I've ever skated by myself. That was that
yeah,
was August the 3rd of 2018. So I haven't skated by myself since
Wow.
then. So
Wow.
if I do skate by myself, I have 3 shots of whiskey, so I can actually get through the PTSD of not getting hit. Because
yeah,
I think I'm afraid of getting hit and no one seeing me. And if I have people with
yeah,
me, then it's like I'm not alone. Um,
yeah,
That's a good
absolutely.
point. That's a good
Yeah, no,
point.
that makes a
so
lot of
to answer
sense.
your question, I enjoy the big group rides because it shows the community that everyone is welcome. But I I'm hosting those events and with Evolve,
Yeah,
and then I'm also leading those events. So I actually like just getting together with about 5 or 6 guys and going out
yeah,
for a rip, and we have no cameras, we have no nothing, and it's just us getting out there having a blast. That is what I enjoy.
yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Same.
would
Yeah.
agree. Those
Yep.
are some of our favorite rides. I mean,
Yeah.
like you go out at like, right as dawn is happening or dusk or either one. And
Dawn. Are you going on like 6
oh,
a.m.
early
rides?
morning rides all the time.
Are we
But
talking
like dawn or dusk, like
out of your mind?
that in between time when there's like way less cars, it's just you and your friends. You can shred from like point A to point B,
Yep.
grab some food, grab a drink, whatever,
Yep.
and then shred to the next spot. And it's like there's something about having that small group where you're not worried about who's watching or like what content is being made by whatever
Yep.
influencer, or
Mm-hmm.
like for Terminal X he's always filming, so those rides when he's not filming we're always like, oh, let's just like shred it,
Yeah.
let's go some crazy routes, let's go find
Exactly.
some place we've never been to. There's this one like crazy tunnel that we rode down. It was like super duper steep. It was one of those they're almost like the like waterways
Oh yeah. Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
like it's like a washout basically to prevent the area from flooding, and we were like, let's just ride down that. Like we were all padded up, of course, but like
Yeah.
it was one of those things like we would never do it on video because it's probably not the best idea, but it was
Sure.
so much fun.
Yeah.
And we like took our time and scoped it out first, but like you can't do that in a big group ride. You can only
Yeah.
do that when it's just you and your buddies.
There's an element of enjoyment for doing things for the experience and the pure like tranquility of being in that moment
Yeah.
and enjoying like what you have and the people you're with versus doing it for the gram or doing it for the
Yeah.
video, doing it
Yep.
for content. um, and I'm lucky. I kind of I've hacked the system a little bit because I can just click a button and like the adventure's on and whatever happens happens. I probably only end up posting maybe a third of our rides
Yeah.
because sometimes it just isn't that interesting to watch. But for me, like it's about the
Yeah, actually,
experience.
tomorrow, I'm really good friends with one of the managers at K1 Go Kart Track. And so they
Oh, nice.
actually opened up their doors and everything like a month or so ago. And I talked to him, and he was like, "Oh, he's like, if you guys want to come by during your lunch break at work, you guys are more than welcome to." So tomorrow, me and like 7 guys from the shop, we're gonna go to K1 for lunch and rip around the track for about 45 minutes, and then get back to work.
Nice.
So that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, we'll probably film it and we'll probably put out some stuff, but dude, it's just being able to get together with just about 5 or 6 guys and just have some fun
Yeah.
is totally awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Kind of those little impromptu rides where it's like, yeah, we'll just go for lunch and have a little shred and it'll
Yep.
be super fun.
Yeah.
I With a kart track though, I mean, is that like urethane or are you rocking your AT wheels for
So
that? Because I
you can do either or. But I mean, if
yeah,
you do the urethane, you might slide around the corners, but the track is actually indoor, and it's like the
okay.
smoothest asphalt you'll ever skate on, bro. We did it for the
My heart just
we did
pitter
it for the
pattered.
World Cup in 2018. We had a open track for every electric skateboard, and some of the guys were building these massive DIYs and ripping around on the track. The benefit of having um, um, the AT tires is you can actually grab those corners With the urethane, dude, you're
Yeah.
gonna slide around the corners, and unless you know how to slide the proper
Yeah.
way, you're gonna wreck. So
Yeah.
yeah, but the tracks are
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Plus with the Evolve, the double kingpin trucks. I mean, those tight
Oh
corners are
yeah.
nothing. You
That's a good
just you
point.
eat those up. I would say most DIYs don't go double kingpin. In fact, I think most e-skaters tend to have like criticisms of double kingpin, but as we've discussed previously, with the right
Yeah.
bushing setup and understanding your vehicle and learning how to use it,
Yeah.
I grew to love double kingpin truck at the time that I
yeah,
had it.
mine's very loose, and it's just the way that I like it set up. And someone could get on there and be like, "Dude, how do you not ever get speed wobbles?" And I was like, "Well, you just kind of learn how to operate your product the longer
Yeah.
you have it." So it's just very
Exactly.
easy for
Yeah.
me to do that. But someone, they can just get on it and they're gonna have an issue.
Yeah. Being able to feel the board and where it wants to pull you and where it wants to push you based on your setup, that is more valuable than anything you'll learn.
Mm-hmm.
Because knowing how the board reacts to different things, whether it's cobblestone or gravel or a sharp turn, like that's
Yeah.
that's the difference between you and the pavement meeting.
Exactly. Yeah. Muscle
Totally,
memory.
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. So kind of cutting back to the content creating, kind of how you guys were talking about how you're going to do some video and things like that. What advice do you have for those people that want to get into content creating? Um, Obviously, you take a very like natural process to it, and you kind of just vibe with it and ride and enjoy yourself. But for those that are very new, maybe they're young and they haven't gotten into the scene as much as us. What kind of advice do you have for them to kind of get into creating content?
I mean, everyone has a cell phone, but it's very distracting when you're trying to go live on Instagram and answer someone's question and talk to them when you're live, and then you're trying to focus on what you're doing and actually paying attention to skating so you don't fall or
Yeah.
hit something and get hurt. Um,
Yeah.
but what I would suggest is find a small pole camera, whatever, and then try it out. I know a lot of businesses and places have like, the return policies, like Best Buy. You could probably buy a can, like a GoPro or whatever. Try it
Oh
out
yeah.
for a couple days, like go deep into it, and then get you a pole, try that, and see how it goes. I love the Insta 360. I had a buddy of mine that he had the first one, and this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then once I got mine, I was like, dude, the editing process is very easy. It's an app thing you can do, um, but and it also gets rid of the pole. So I've seen some of the
Yeah.
GoPros where it's kind of split and like the cropping isn't there, but when Insta 360,
Yeah.
you can pretty much you don't see the pole unless it's in a shadow, and you can actually see everything around you. And I think people like to see that. They want to see what you're doing and everything around you. When people just film their board, that gets very boring over time, and you want to be able to
Yeah.
grasp the audience. So just doing something that's different and doing something that's out of the ordinary, or just being
Yep.
yourself, because no one's really normal and no one. I mean, everyone's different. So just being yourself and then adding that to your videos or your content, that's my only suggestion I can give to someone. Be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny that you mentioned the Insta 360R and like removing the pole. We went to a ride in Chicago, and one of the guys out there, Trent, who's on Instagram, I think it's Trent Chicago or Trent Eastgates or something like that. But he had a Insta 360, but he put it on like a 30-foot pole, and it was the most like ridiculous looking thing because it was
Outlandish.
so high up. But then you watch the like 7-minute video of the ride, and you're like, oh man, like he's onto something. Like
Yeah.
you can get these crazy like drone shots where he like basically pushes the pole through the crowd, and like you can see everybody but nobody, and then you can go so high up that it looks like you're flying.
Yeah.
And the only bit of the pole you see is like the tiny little like 2 feet by his hand.
Yep.
But it's like the rest of it's just empty, and it's so cool.
It was really dynamic. It was definitely like I don't know if it's groundbreaking, but like I had never seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
And at the time I was riding, right, you're in the group ride, right? You're focused, you're looking for stuff, what's in your way, you're looking out for other riders, and all of a sudden, like out of the corner of my peripheral, I see this little tiny like metallic object go flying by me, and I'm like, what is that? And I look, and then there's this pole, and it just keeps coming.
Yeah, it's
and
such
it
a
just
long
keeps
pole.
coming by me. And it just keeps coming. And then eventually, like about 10, 15 seconds later, Trent shows up holding it and keeps going on.
It was cool though.
It's like jousting
he got
lance.
some really cool shots. But like you said, you just gotta do something new and unique and be true to yourself when you're filming. I think that's great advice for anybody that's looking to get out there.
Any town, any small town or any big town, there's always a place to ride. There's always that cool scenic area, you know, that someone out there is going to want to see. You know, whether it's the beach, the mountains, or trees covering a road. Dude, I had a coworker that went to, was it Virginia or no? One of the East Coast states or whatever is on the coast, and he took some pictures of like this street. No cars were on it. He was riding a bike, and the trees were covered. And I was like, dude, could you imagine bringing your board out there? He's like, oh man, it would have been awesome. So I mean, just being able, you know, to where you guys live at, you can grab content anywhere. You don't have to live in a big city or whatever. There's plenty of places to get content where you can grab the attention from every person that's wanting to see it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely a testament to the curiosity of Eastgate too. Because people are constantly stopping you and wanting to talk about it and ask about it. And that number only increases when you put stuff online, because then you're reaching out to the entire world. You're not just in your local community now. Now you're telling everybody about where you are and what you're seeing. And yeah, we've definitely had some of those moments where we're like, oh, this is the coolest ride we've ever been on.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh, we just rode like 30 miles north on a bike trail.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You can edit this part out if you want to, but should I share like a pretty modest version of like the you remember the person that like I met on the bike trail and then like ended up like finding me later?
Yeah. No, you should share that. It's a good story.
All right. So me and a friend riding on a bike trail, right? We have lots of bike trails in Grand Rapids. They're beautiful. With Eastgate, you're the apex predator on that street. So you're the fastest, the most powerful thing. So it's a good feeling of dominance. There's no cars to worry about. And they go for miles. Like all over into different cities and
40,
everything.
50 miles.
Yep. So we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, really. And we stopped to do a battery swap on a boosted board. And, you know, we're late for something. So I'm moving real fast, you know, changing stuff. It's like the NASCAR tire change out. We both have our helmets on because, you know, time is of the essence. And this soccer mom like rolls up, like typical, like stroller plus the,
2.5 kids.
With the kid on the bike with the training wheels, and she just kind of starts like, you know, asking us like normal like vague questions about like, oh, how fast does it go, you know, how does it work, you know, all that. And I feel terrible now. At the time, I think I said like 10 words total because I was rushing to swap this battery out, and my friend was doing most of the answering of the questions, and I felt bad, but like we were late, and so I had to get this battery swapped, and we weren't rude to her by any means. But like, we had to go. So we answered her questions, and she kind of like went on like, after a couple of minutes and went down the path, and like we were ready. We took off, and then like I see down the trail, she had turned around and was now coming back towards us. And she said something to us as we flew by her. And I actually don't ever know what it was. And I was just like, okay, like to whatever she said. When we flew by her. And so we get home like an hour later, like I'm on my phone and I get like a follow notification on Instagram, and I go to see who it is. And I'm like, I send the screenshot to my friend and I FaceTime him. I'm like, does this person look familiar to you? And he's like, it's that soccer mom from the trail. Bear this in mind. I never gave her my name. I never gave her my Instagram or any information. She never even saw my face. My helmet was on the whole time. And I was like, she didn't know she didn't know anything. I never gave her any information. Like I said, I probably said 10 words to her. So I was shook. So I sent her a private message and I was like, hey, like, without being weird, like, have we met? And bear in mind, this is Terminal X. Like, you can't see my face.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I was on the trail. And I was like, well, if I can ask, like, how did you find me? Because I definitely didn't give you like my social media. And she's like, I Googled Grand Rapids electric skateboard and you popped up. Your videos popped up. And yeah, the rest is history. Yeah. Um, crazy like coincidence.
Yeah.
But yeah, I make enough YouTube videos in Grand Rapids, and she recognized some of the spots that I had filmed
Wow,
in, and yeah,
that's crazy.
I mean, it just shows that like you're impacting people even when you don't think you are.
yeah, no clue. No, I really should put like my Instagram channel on my helmet or something, because like
Yeah.
I don't know, like
Yeah.
what are
That's
the chances,
awesome.
man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll kind of wrap it up because we're hitting that 1 hour mark. But what kind of future projects are you working on, Joe? What do you got coming down the pipeline? What's up next for SoCal Legend? What's up next for Evolve? What do you got in the pipe?
Dude, I wish I knew what was next with Evolve. I have been trying to pry and pry and pry, and usually they give me some bits of information. But dude, no clue.
Yeah,
I wish I did, but I have. Yeah,
keeping you in the
and
dark.
so I mean, it is what it is, you know. But new projects. I have an older Gen 2 Carbon. It was like the first generation Carbon board, and I think I want to turn it into a
Yeah.
GTR. And then with the new white wall board tires that just came out, uh,
Oh yeah,
those
those are
sold
cool.
out like immediately. But uh, I think I
Yeah.
want to make a lowrider board where
Oh, that'd be so
like
dope.
take like the do like white walls, and if I can do like baby moons like the old 50s style, and then do like
Yeah.
some old style like gangster pinstriping, you know, flat black with the
Oh
black and
yeah.
red and the white pinstriping, and then do the LED lights underneath or whatever else. Just do something a little different. Um, but I
Yeah.
actually have a guy in where's he live in Washington, and he hit me up, and you know we've been following each other for like the last year and a half or 2 years, and he's like, dude, I would love to have a custom SoCal Legend board. And he's like,
Ooh.
how much would you charge? And so, you know, he's like, I got the board, you know, what do you think? And I just shot him just like a rough of what I think that, you know, I would like to do to the board if he's leaving it up to the artist. Cause, you know, I get tattoos and I kind
Yeah.
of leave it up to the artist so it makes it flow really nice. And
Yep.
as long as he,
Yep.
you know, makes it a nice tattoo, you have to trust that
Right.
person. So he's like, dude, I'm leaving it up to you. And I said, what colors do you want? What kind of vibe do you want? He's like, I want a beachy style vibe with these kind of colors. So over the next month, I'm going to start customizing that board for him. And I'm going to get it all hydro dipped. I'm going to do some cool things for him. And
Nice.
I'm not for sure yet. If I can get it done before like the 22nd of June, I'm actually going to hand deliver it to him in Washington.
Oh,
So,
nice.
um,
That's some top of the line service.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah, that's cool though. I
that's
mean,
some
I think
OG.
that's good. You got a lot of potential there because obviously you've done custom boards for yourself. You've done some of Lisa's custom boards, and those things are all over the place and badass. And so yeah, I
Facts.
can totally see why people would start reaching out to you for that kind of stuff. Not many people have super customized evolves. They're usually pretty bare
I
bones.
mean,
So
grip
it's
tape and just the simple changes that you can do. You know, you can get from the
yeah.
shop, yeah. But other than that, there's only I think I've seen one other guy in the Evolve industry, and he's in Hawaii. And that guy, he's a tattoo artist, so he does pinstriping and painting. His brother does
Oh yeah.
engraving. And dude, this guy has some of the. I mean, his boards are far top notch than mine, but I'm using
Yeah.
mine as like an every day to day. His board should be hung on the wall and like art pieces.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would love to have some trucks that were engraved or whatever else. Dude,
Yeah.
that's taking it to the next level. So I
Yeah.
mean, I try to keep it, you know, somewhat bare bones because the shit gets scratched and it gets, you know, dinged, and you know, over time.
Yeah. Especially when you're
Yeah,
riding it every
totally,
day.
totally. So
Yeah. And then one last thing that we kind of ask all of our guests: if you could create your own dream board, what would that custom dream board be, and what would you use it for?
well, how many minutes do I got? So this is an hour and 4 minutes. I think we have. Think we have.
Take your time. Fill
Okay,
up the
so
time.
there's a lot of things that are missing from electric skateboarding. Okay, Whenever you're in the desert riding around in 90-degree temperatures, your board overheats. I want to have some form of a cooling system to a board that's going to be able to cool the product down where it's not going to overheat, and nothing's going to happen to the product at all. I mean, you're taking it as a car and you're bringing it into an electric skateboard. Also, too, I've said this for years, a GPS tracking device for your product that you have is going to be a gold mine. If I had the coin to do it, I would have already invented it. I would have already came out with it and gave it to every single person that has an electric device. So I want to see those things integrated. I don't really care about range anymore because I've done my 80, 90, 100-mile days, and that's like a long day. I want something that's going to be reliable, and I want something that's going to be able to get me, at least a nice 15-mile-an-hour cruise. Or if I want to just balls to the wall, pull the trigger, and then go that 15 miles. I want to see a product that has like a remote that can actually like design your board to. And these are all my dreams, but I want to be able to see a board like a remote where you can go in and you can go, okay, I'm letting my niece ride this electric skateboard. Yes, it can go 50 miles an hour, but I want to drop it down to where it's only going to go 6 miles an hour, because a kid, as soon as they grab that remote, they're going to pull the trigger first thing and they're going to hurt themselves. So you can adjust the curve. You can adjust everything that has to do with that board. And it's like having a computer on the board. Yeah, it's going to cost $5,000, but I'm telling you right now, that is going to be the number one product that everyone's going to want. They're not going to want a motorcycle. They're not going to want a scooter. They're not going to want anything besides that.
Yeah. I think that touches on a good point too, because like there already are ESCs that you can do things like that, but they're so convoluted. You have to have a special app, like a Bluetooth Vesk app that actually like you have to know all these voltage things, and it's like it's not super user friendly. So being able to make it user friendly where everyday people can just pick it up, they can find their board, they can track their board, they can change settings on it for different riders.
Right.
I
would. Joe touches on a good point. You have your 6-year-old niece or whatever. To have like profile presets, like user profiles, to be like, okay, who's riding? Boom, Terminal X. Okay, balls to the walls. Let them suffer. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, old girl's riding it. Boom. Lower down the settings, ease up on the acceleration. Et cetera, et cetera. Have those user profiles that you could save and just swap out depending on who's riding the board.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, think about cars. Cars, like you can preset all the seats for the drivers. Different cars have like turbo modes and race modes and things like that. Like, why not have that all customizable on an e-skate? Like, yes, there are like the 3 settings, but it's like
it's the money.
Yeah, it is all money, I guess.
Yeah, I could see X-Way coming out with something like that someday. They have an app where you obviously like you can adjust like the braking and the acceleration. Even on their 4-wheel drive versions, you can adjust, how much the front motors accelerate versus the back motors. I could see them someday just adding a profile version of that. Be like, okay, who's riding the board, and it implements those settings right away. Of course, I could see Evolve doing it too, because you can adjust all that stuff on a lot of that stuff on the remote as well.
Yeah,
I think it's out there.
Yeah,
I think it's possible.
Yeah, and people are definitely trying to get the like GPS tracking thing going. Like Apple just released their little Apple Tile things or whatever they're called, Apple thumbtacks or something.
Yeah, thumbtacks,
whatever they are. But they're still, and they're still not like I feel like when Joe talks about it, he's like, it's going to be like something that's attached to the trucks, like
it's permanent, but also too, you have an app that you have. So like this thing where it was on Sports Tracker where you can track all your rides, and then we had this thing that was e-skate race. And so everyone that had Sports Tracker, as long as it was not set to private, they were on that, and it was like a competition. Dude, me and Colin Caddy were going back and forth, and the guy, his name is Mr. Panda in New York. Archie. I don't know if you guys ever seen him. He does hundreds and hundreds of miles of rides on his boards, and so we were in competition back and forth, and it made it awesome. So that's what I'm talking about. Is like, hey, hey, Joe's out right now. He's one of my friends, and I'm following him. He's out right now skating on his board. I'm gonna go meet up with him and join him. So it's more or less, it's like a community thing. Yeah, I mean, you're touching into people like tracking your stuff, but as long as they're your buddy and you're following them as like a friend type of thing, then totally, But
Yeah.
I think that integrating something like that, where it's like a community vibe, where you have your board. So if someone steals it, you can go right to the police and say, "Hey, this person's. I mean, someone stole my board. This is
Yep.
where
This is
it's
where he
at.
is.
Can we go
Yeah.
pick it up?" Dude, if you were to pay
Right.
$100 for that and a subscription of $5 a month, you would do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'd be a no-brainer.
Well, are you okay? So, have you heard of? There's a new device. I'm sure multiple carriers have them. I know T-Mobile has them. It's called a Sync Up Tracker. It's like verbatim what you just described. It's a small device. It's not much larger than like a tile, and it's small. You can put it anywhere, and it's a full cellular tracker. So somebody steals your board and takes it to another city. You have live GPS tracking, and it's $5 a month. That's why I asked, because it sounds exactly what you were talking about. Yeah, it's $5
So
a
then
month.
if we can take that and integrate it to an app where it's a community thing.
Yeah, like a find friends kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's definitely been things in the past, like I'm pretty sure Find Your Friends was like a thing, and then like Snapchat has their little like Snap map where you can see where all your friends are
And you can turn
Snapchatting
it
from.
off if you don't want.
That'd be cool too, because then you could be like, yeah, and you could set it to public and be like, oh, like there's a big group like getting ready to ride, like here, I'm
Right.
gonna go ride there and meet up with them. You could do much more like impromptu
Yep.
group rides, and yeah. Oh man, yeah. Now you got my mind like turning. I'm like, yeah,
Dude,
that's a good
I've been in
idea.
this industry for 6 years, and I have so many things in my mind of what I want to see. If I literally had $1 million,
Yeah,
dude, it would be every.
yeah.
It would.
Just R&D, send it out, start getting everything done. Yeah,
So
I
my
love it.
ideas are out there. So whoever has the money, go ahead and run with it. Just give me a little portion one of
Yeah,
these days.
Cut the
yeah.
check.
Whoever's listening, just take these
Yeah,
ideas and make
exactly.
them, and then you can send
Yeah.
them to Joe to do your beta testing.
Yeah. No, but for real, I mean, three-quarter. I feel like all of those ideas. I was like, that sounds
Yep.
amazing. Like
Yep.
I would use that tomorrow.
Yep.
But no, I definitely would. You should check out that Sync
Well,
Up Tracker, because
Sounds
it's got a
pretty similar.
7-day battery. It's water resistant. Look, it's a cellular tracker. So as long as they're in the, I mean, I don't even know if they're in the continental United
hell
States
yeah.
with your board, like you
Hell
can
yeah.
go find it.
Yeah.
Especially in big cities, I could see that being a
Oh yeah.
real big demand.
Absolutely.
And it's not large. You can hide it inside the board somewhere on the under
Yeah,
panel.
maybe in
Like,
the ESC enclosure or something.
yeah, nobody's going to notice that. And then of course, like if people have your access to your public profile, and you give them permission, then they can go see that you're out riding and go meet up or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me think of those those YouTube videos where guys like, yeah, I wanna buy that bike from you from somebody that like they like stole the bike and it's like their buddy's bike and he sees it on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, oh yeah, I want to buy that bike from you. Can I take it for a test ride? And be like, yeah, sure.
They just ride
and they
off
just
of
ride
it.
off with it,
Steal it back.
like you start seeing some of that like vigilante justice for e-skate. People getting their buddies' boards back and stuff. Yeah,
there you go.
I would
Cutting
love
edge.
it. Well, Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to chat with you. Super fun getting to hear more about you, getting to hear more about your experience with e-skate. Is there anything else you want to mention to anybody that's out there listening or watching right now?
Just be yourself and have fun, man. Life is way too short. So don't stress about shit. Just fucking enjoy yourself and do what makes you happy and just keep shredding, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, until next time, this is Electric Skatecast. You can follow us on Instagram and on all the other socials at Electric Skatecast. You can also follow SoCal Legend on Instagram and everything like that. He is SoCal_legend. And I'm sure he would be happy to have you reach out to him if you're ever in the California area and go for a group ride. And you can also follow Terminal X on Instagram and YouTube. He is at Official Terminal X. And again, Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. And to all of our listeners and followers out there, thank you for listening. Stay safe, wear a helmet, and keep shredding.
Later, guys.
See ya.